Family, welcome to my channel. First of all, I will give you the whole hardcore warning. This video hides the wonderful scenes of the animal kingdom every second. Today, I won't be fictional, so I will take you to immerse yourself in the conspicuous bags of animals that engrave outrageous into their DNA. Some rely on rotten gods, some rely on their buttocks as weapons, and some courtship is so exhausting that they are almost tired. Friendly reminder, hurry up and put the bowl away when eating. Swallow the water first. I'm afraid you will laugh so much that you will be chased and beaten by your mother. In addition, be sure to bring your friend 8, whose laughter is lower than the Mariana Trench. And it is better to be happy alone than to be happy with everyone. Without further ado, let's go straight to the charge. The first to appear must be the emotional stability ceiling of the animal kingdom, capybara. This goods are definitely the existence of God chasing and feeding the Buddhist buff. What kind of animal have you seen that can be pulled by a bird on its head without getting angry? Dare to bask in the sun on the back of a crocodile? Or even be stacked by a group of small animals into a luhampagoda and still be as stable as an old dog? Anyway, I'm opening my eyes. Capybara is the largest rodent in existence, with a weight of 35 to 66 kilograms and a body length of more than 1 meter, which is not an exaggeration to say that it is a giant rat, right? But people take an unusual path in the animal kingdom where the weak eat the strong, relying on no quarrel with the world to live on the social ceiling. Some people may ask, why can this guy be so calm? In fact, it is a natural happy physique. Scientists have found that the baseline level of stress hormone, that is cortisol, in capybara is several notches lower than that of rodents of the same size. Simply put, it has nothing to do with me when the sky falls. What's more amazing is that its brain can automatically secrete a lot of serotonin and dopamine, which are the happiness hormones that we humans can barely obtain by eating desserts and skewers. I mean, who doesn't envy this kind of natural lying king when he sees it? And capybara's social cattle syndrome has become so serious that you can't live without friends. Birds flying in the sky love to stick to it because it is a natural safe nest on its back. The crocodile in the water is willing to team up with it to take a bath because it knows that this guy will not take the initiative to cause trouble. Even the little mouse on the side of the road loves to come over and squeeze into the sun with it. Netizens accurately summarized its life creed: if you can lie down, never sit. If you cannot move, you will never be blind. As long as I have a good mentality, it is others who are angry. This simply is the ideal life template for contemporary young people. The first thing to do when you wake up every day is to turn over and continue to sleep. Number KPI and no mortgage. No wonder some people say that it is a retired veteran cadre of the animal kingdom. This description really hits the essence. After chatting about the Buddhist bosses, it's the turn of the courtship king of the animal kingdom, the wormwood grouse. This is a large grouse unique to North America. And the male has 2 yellow inflatable neck pouches hanging on his chest when he becomes an adult, and becomes a walking pile driver during the breeding season. Every spring, male wormwood grouse will gather on the exclusive courtship stage, blow their neck pouches like balloons, and then shake their chests wildly, making a low sound of dung dung dung, which is more lively than the halftime show of the American Spring Festival Gala, Super Bowl. Seriously, this courtship method is simply rolled up to the extreme. You make up for it. A group of birds, stronger than a big rooster, lined up to shake their chests wildly. The shaking rhythm of the neck pouch is more sensitive than jumping. This picture is so magical that it can be played on a loop 100 times. Some photographers have squatted down And some male wormwood grouse can shake their chests for 3 or 4 hours in a row, without drinking water or resting in the middle, which is better than the macho men who practice squats in the gym. In addition to shaking their chests, they will also spread their tail feathers and pose in various bows and whistles, focusing on a all-round display of male charm. But the funny thing is that even if it is rolled up like this, most of the males are still accompanying runners, which is really rolled up and lonely. Here I have to insert a trivia with you. The wormwood grouse is now a near-threatened species. Their populations have been declining sharply because of habitat destruction, especially in British Columbia, Canada, and California, USA, where regional extinction has occurred. While their courtship scenes are hilarious, we also have to remember that these little ones need to be protected. After all, it is also a very lucky thing to see such a magical chest-shaking competition. Do you think so? Next, this is the cute ceiling of the animal kingdom, red pandas. Let me clarify a misunderstanding. Red pandas and giant pandas are really not relatives. Although they all have the word panda, they belong to different families and genera, which is equivalent to the same surname but different clans. The red panda looks like a fowl. The reddish-brown fluff is wrapped in a cashmere coat. The round body and a pair of watery Kazillan big eyes can be cute with any tilt of the head, but you would never have imagined that this guy was a paper tiger. He would not run away at all when he was in danger. He would only raise his forelimbs to expose his belly and put on a posture of, "I surrender and I am harmless," focusing on a crisis resolution with cuteness. I have seen a video before. A red panda met a little teddy in the zoo and was so frightened that it instantly froze in place with 2 small hands raised high, and their eyes were full of horror and grievances, like a child who was caught by the teacher for cheating on the exam. To be honest, this defense method is too perfunctory, right? Fortunately, it is a national second-class protected animal and has the blessing of no damage buff. Otherwise, it would have become a meal on the plate of natural enemies in the wild. However, it is also this cowardice that makes red pandas have countless fans. At almost every zoo's red panda exhibition area is a traffic center. After all, who can refuse a little baby who will take the initiative to surrender? The red panda is also a real sleeping god, a typical morning and dusk animal, only willing to come out to forage in the early morning and evening. The time is all sleeping up to 12 to 14 hours a day, more than a newborn baby. I mean, 6 hours a day. More than half of them are catching up on sleep. And this life is too comfortable. And they are very picky eaters. Their staple food is only bamboo. And occasionally they open a small stove to eat some insects and wild fruits. And their eating habits are a bit similar to giant pandas, but they are much smaller and more flexible than giant pandas. However, red pandas also have a little trouble. They can't build their own nests. They can only pick up the abandoned tree holes of woodpeckers to move in, and sometimes they have to share a house with other red pandas, huddled in a tree hole to warm each other, and are a proper rental difficulty in the animal kingdom. After talking about the cute red panda, let's get to know the infrastructure maniac of the animal kingdom, the groundhog, the Himalayan hanta, mentioned in the original text. It's actually the Himalayan marmot, which belongs to the plateau subspecies of the groundhog. This guy lives in our country's Qinghai Tibet Plateau, the Himalayan mountains, and high-altitude grasslands. And he is round and chubby, looking naive, but he was elected as a grassland architect by virtue of his strength. Do you know how much this thing can dig? It has been observed that a groundhog can dig out 100 square meters of luxury school, which is equivalent to the amount of work we humans can build 3 large villas. People rely on a pair of sharp claws, and they can be completed in a week. And their cave design can be called an engineering miracle. Not only divided into bedrooms, storage rooms, and bathrooms, but also specially dug a number of escape routes. Even if they encounter a sneak attack by natural enemies, they can quickly run away. What's even more heartwarming is that these caves will also be open to the public, providing shelter for small animals such as rabbits and mice. So, groundhogs are also known as grassland live lay phone. However, the groundhog is so desperately digging holes, not to show off his skills, but to engage in objects. In the world of groundhogs, the house is big and luxurious enough to attract the attention of the opposite sex and gain priority in choosing a mate. This is a bit similar to us humans. Only when we have a house can we have the confidence to talk to someone. But marmots also have troubles. That is, their neighbors are particularly not martial arts, and often come to rob their burrows and mates. So sometimes a territory battle breaks out between the groundhogs, and the two round little guys stand in place and push each other, trying to suppress each other with their weight, which is funny and intense. The funniest thing is that every time they fight, they will lure the wolf into the house. The jackal likes to squat next to watch the fun, and when the two marmots are inseparable, they suddenly rush up and sneak attack. So you can often see such a famous scene. Two groundhogs are fighting. As soon as they see the jackal coming, they immediately choose the war, run away, and the speed is faster than a 100-meter sprint. It really responds to the sentence, "Sandpiper clams fight, fishermen benefit." But the fisherman here has been replaced by jackals, which is really a bit of a comedy effect. Next is the defense ghost of the animal kingdom wombats. But in fact, they have nothing to do with bears, but are relatives with kangaroos. And they both have baby bags. However, the wombat's pouch is particularly strange. The mouth of the bag is facing backwards, so that when the mother wombat digs a hole, the dirt will not fall into the pouch and stain the cubs. And the cubs can, to put it bluntly, you can eat the mother's feces. Isn't it outrageous? But the most amazing thing about the wombat is its defensive means. When this guy encounters a natural enemy, it will burrow into the cave at a speed of 100 meters, and then aim its butt at the hole. Don't think that it is panicking and ignoring the head. This is actually its nirvana. The wombat's hip muscles are super developed, and the skin is as thick as armor. And when the natural enemy tries to burrow into the cave to attack it, it will suddenly contract its hip muscles and hit the head of the natural enemy with its buttocks, so strong that it can shatter. According to records, there was once a wild dog who wanted to sneak attack a wombat, and when he got into the burrow, he was hit hard by the wombat with his buttocks. And with this wild dog, and finally, he was planted on an ass, which was really a little aggrieved. What's even more bizarre is that the wombat's feces are square, which is unique in the animal kingdom. Scientists have found that this is because the wombat's intestinal structure is special, which can shape the feces into a square shape so that and can also be used to mark the territory. I have to say, wombats are simply the wonderful inventors of the animal kingdom. After talking about the defense ghosts, it's the turn of the hunting overturner of the animal kingdom, the leopard. In everyone's impression, but in fact, many leopards are embroidered pillows. Hunting often overturns, and they will be ridiculed by other animals. I swiped a video before. A leopard wanted to sneak attack a deer, and as soon as it approached quietly, it accidentally stepped on a branch. And the click! The leopard chased after me for a long time. Not only did I not catch up, but I also accidentally fell a dog to eat, and the appearance of being on all fours almost made me laugh. What's even funnier is that the leopard didn't admit defeat, and actually climbed a 10-meter-high tree, trying to jump down from the tree to sneak up on the deer. A few vultures next to them were circling in the sky as if they were watching a joke, and they were still croaking in their mouths, not knowing if they were saying, "You can't do it, small dog." This leopard was also miserable enough. It is estimated that his heart was extremely emo at that time. In fact, leopards often overturn when hunting, and it can't be blamed entirely. Its prey is particularly cunning, such as fawns, rabbits, etc., which react super quickly. And their hearing and vision are also very sensitive, and they will run away at the slightest movement. In addition, leopards sometimes make some low-level mistakes, such as stepping on branches and falling on their heads. So the success rate of hunting has not been high. But this is also understandable. Surviving in the wild is not easy. Even top hunters have times to overturn, right? Next is the air cuteness of the animal kingdom, the Siberian flying squirrel. This product looks like a fluffy little fur ball living in the northeast of our country, Siberia, Russia, and some temperate forests in Europe. And its appearance is directly full. The Siberian flying squirrel is connected by a wide flying membrane between its front and rear limbs, which is like wearing a gliding suit when opened, and can glide freely between the trees, and can glide 40 or 50 meters at a time. So it is also called the Russian flying squirrel. But don't look at it as it glides. It's actually a complete lazy bug, sleeping most of the day, and sometimes have to share a house with other flying squirrels. A photographer has captured such a picture, several Siberian flying squirrels sleeping in a tree hole, like a pile of small marshmallows, so cute that they are fouled. Moreover, Siberian flying squirrels have particularly poor eyesight, and they are basically blind half a meter away, so they rarely leave the hole unless they are hungry to forage or during the breeding season. Here's a trivia. According to the latest research from with the lowest population genetic diversity in Finland and the highest in the Russian Far East, especially in the Sakhat-Arin region, and due to habitat destruction, the Siberian flying squirrel population in Europe has been declining and is already facing a serious existential crisis. So although they are cute, we also need to pay attention to their survival and protect their habitats. After talking about gliding cute things, let's get to know the drought-tolerant king of the animal kingdom, lungfish. Just by hearing the name, you can tell that this is a fish that can breathe with its lungs. Isn't it amazing? Lungfish live in Africa near the Sahara Desert, where ultra-high temperatures and scarce precipitation can be called a forbidden area for life. For lungfish, they will die of drought if they stay on the shore for a long time, and they will drown if they stay in the water for a long time. So they can only get into the damp quagmire and start the survival mode of surviving. Lungfish's survival skills are simply sky high. They dig an 18-centimeter deep burrow in the quagmire. This protective film can effectively isolate the external high temperature and water loss, allowing the lungfish to enter a dormant state inside, quietly waiting for the arrival of the rainy season. Until it encounters heavy rain, it will come out of the cave and return to the water, which can be called the sleeping beauty of the animal kingdom. What's even more outrageous is that the vitality of lungfish is shockingly tenacious. Even if it is built into the wall as a building material by farmers, it can be resurrected as long as it encounters water. According to records, but a few years later, and the lungfish actually came back to life and swam slowly back to the nearby river. I mean, this vitality is more tenacious than Shawshank. It is simply the unbeatable Shawshank Plus version. However, lungfish also have their own troubles and are often used as food or pets by humans. In some parts of Africa, lungfish is one of the main foods of local residents, who dig it out of the quagmire and eat it roasted or boiled, which is said to taste good. And because lungfish have a special appearance, Many people will keep them at home as pets. But with habitat destruction and overfishing, the number of lungfish is gradually declining. So we must also protect them, and don't let this drought-tolerant king disappear from the earth. Next is the boxing champion of the animal kingdom, kangaroos. Kangaroos are Australia's national treasures, and there seems to be only the word fight in the dictionary of life. And they only do two things in their lives: fighting and preparing for war. Kangaroos' hind legs are and their tails are. Male kangaroos often fight over mates or territory, which is more intense than a professional boxing match. The reproductive ability of kangaroos can take turns to breed offspring and truly achieve KZD-free birth. Moreover, the kangaroo cubs and they will slowly climb into their mother's pouch by themselves, feed and grow up in it, and will not get out of the pouch until a few months later. However, it is not easy for kangaroo mothers to take care of their newborn cubs, but also to guard against attacks from other animals. And sometimes they have to fight with other kangaroos, a proper all-round mother. But the funniest thing is that once, a tourist was in a zoo in Australia and wanted to feed a kangaroo. But he couldn't grasp the distance and was kicked in the stomach. So if you travel to Australia, you must keep a safe distance when you encounter kangaroos. And don't provoke them casually. However, kangaroos also, and the round eyes look everywhere, which is so cute that it makes people want to touch it. After talking about boxing champions, let's take a look at the emoticon handle of the animal kingdom, the Tibetan fox. The appearance of this product is definitely plus a pair of small eyes that can never wake up. It looks like it will always be loveless. And it is ridiculed by Tibetan foxes are mainly distributed in our country's Qinghai Tibet Plateau, Gansu, Qinghai, and other high-altitude areas in the west. Due to the harsh living environment, Tibetan foxes are relatively withdrawn and like to be alone. The hunting ability of Tibetan foxes is also very average, mainly feeding on pikas, but often fails to hunt and sometimes is teased by pikas. Once a Tibetan fox squatted at the entrance of the pika's hole for a long time and did not dare to breathe. But the pika had already run away from another hole, and the Tibetan fox squatted lonely, and the little expression of grievance seemed to be saying, "I'm too difficult." However, although the Tibetan fox is good and its hunting ability is average, it is an important part of the ecosystem, can control the number of pikas, protect the ecological balance of the grassland, and is a veritable guardian of the grassland. Moreover, the Tibetan fox is also a responsible parent, and the male and female Tibetan foxes will take care of their cubs together, hunt together, and have a clear division of labor. A photographer has taken such a warm picture, a Tibetan fox couple who take turns hunting every day and then bring food back for the cubs to eat, and the little Tibetan foxes surround their parents to grab food, and the picture is particularly loving. So, although the Tibetan fox looks a little mournful, he is very kind-hearted and is a qualified good father and good mother. Next is the rock-climbing god, which lives in the high-altitude cliff areas in the northwest and southwest of our country, and is a national second-class protected animal. Rock Sheep's climbing ability is simply against the sky. He can freely shuttle on vertical cliffs, like walking on flat ground. Even if he accidentally steps on the air, he can quickly adjust his posture to stabilize his body, which is simply the Spider-Man of the animal kingdom. The rock sheep's body is particularly flexible, with thick, and it can firmly grasp the crevices of rocks. They often forage and rest on cliffs, as this is effective in avoiding natural predators. Once, a rock sheep was chased by a wolf. It climbed directly towards a vertical cliff. The wolf chased below, but couldn't climb up at all. Could only watch the rock sheep climb higher and higher, and finally disappeared to the top of the cliff. Rock sheep also have sensitive eyesight, can detect natural enemies from a long distance and prepare to escape in advance. Rock sheep are also social animals and usually move together in groups of a dozen or dozens. There will be special sentinels in the group who are responsible for observing the surrounding environment. And once danger is found, an alarm will be issued to let other rock sheep run away. Moreover, the reproductive ability of rock sheep is also very strong. Breeding once a year, each litter can give birth to one cub. Soon after the cub is born, it can follow the group to move and climb. It is simply a natural climbing master. After talking about the rock climbing god, let's get to know the social cattle miscellaneous patients of the animal kingdom muskrats. The musk raccoon, in the original text, is actually a muskrat, which belongs to the genus of muskrat in the rodent hamster family, mainly distributed in North America, Europe, and some temperate and cold regions of Asia. The muskrat looks like an enlarged version of a mouse, but it is much cuter than a mouse, and the fur on its body is very thick, which can play a waterproof role. Even if it stays in the water for a long time, it will not get wet. Muskrats are typical social animals and like to live in caves near rivers or lakes. And their burrows are particularly cleverly designed, usually with multiple exits, one on land and one in water, so that they can not only avoid the attack of natural predators, but also facilitate foraging. The muskrat has a very mixed diet, mainly eating the roots, stems, and leaves of aquatic plants, but also some insects and small invertebrates. Moreover, muskrats are very reproductive. They can breed several times a year, and each litter can give birth to several cubs, so their population is very large. Muskrats are also particularly social, and the relationship within the group is very harmonious. They will groom each other, take care of their cubs together, and go out to forage together. And the muskrat is very brave. When it encounters natural enemies, it will not run away easily, but will unite to fight together. Once, a group of muskrat encountered an otter, and instead of scattering and fleeing, they formed a circle and warned the otters, who said that they were crowded and had to leave in despair. I have to say that this spirit of unity is worth learning. Next is the desert survival expert of the animal kingdom, the desert beetle. It lives in the Namib Desert, one of the driest regions in the world, with little precipitation. But the desert beetle can live there. Every morning, the desert beetle climbs to the top of the dunes and then raises its buttocks high, in an upside-down posture, in the direction of the sea breeze. You must be curious. What is it doing? In fact, it is drinking water. In the early morning of the Namib Desert, the air blown by the sea breeze contains a lot of water vapor, and the desert beetle's back has a special hydrophilic texture, which can make these water vapors condense into water droplets on the back. This operation is simply amazing, equivalent to bringing its own mobile water collection device. I have to say, the creativity of nature is amazing. This survival skill of the desert beetle has also given scientists a lot of inspiration. They imitated the texture that can collect water vapor in the air in arid areas and convert it into drinking water, solving the drinking water problem in many arid areas. Therefore, many strange operations in the animal kingdom hide great wisdom and are worth studying and learning. After talking about desert survival experts, let's take a look at the cutest shared roommates in the animal kingdom, Siberian flying squirrels and woodpeckers. As we said before, Siberian flying squirrels do not build nests. They can only pick up abandoned tree holes for woodpeckers to live in. And sometimes, woodpeckers will share with Siberian flying squirrels and live in a tree hole together. Think about this picture. A fluffy little flying squirrel and a woodpecker with a pointed beak huddled in a small tree hole. The little flying squirrel curled up in a ball to sleep, and the woodpecker combing its feathers next to it, which is simply so cute that it explodes. And they have a particularly harmonious relationship, which can be called exemplary roommates in the animal kingdom. Woodpeckers will help Siberian flying squirrels clean up insects in tree holes, making the little flying squirrels live more comfortably. The Siberian fly and alert the woodpecker once it finds a natural predator. This relationship of mutual help is called symbiotic relationship in the animal kingdom. I have to say that the friendship of the animal kingdom is sometimes purer than that of humans, which is enviable. In addition to these things we have talked about, there are many strange, conspicuous bags in the animal kingdom. For example, the high-nosed antelope that flirts with its big nose, the rain frog that argues with the monkey at every turn, the baby turtle that was almost eaten as soon as it went out, and the big-eared sand lizard that was almost crippled in order to find a partner. The operation of these little guys is more outrageous than the other, and they have contracted me to laugh all year round. Well, today I talked to you about so many strange, conspicuous bags in the animal kingdom. I don't know which one you like the most. Is it the Buddhist capybara, or the cute red panda, or the Defense Ghost Wombat? Welcome to leave a message in the comment area to tell me. To be honest, the animal kingdom is really amazing. There are too many strange operations and trivia that we don't know. I will continue to share more interesting facts about the animal kingdom with you in the future. Remember to follow my channel, light up the little heart, and don't get lost in the next update. Finally, let me tell you a word from the heart. Although these animals are funny, they are all part of nature, and many of them are facing habitat loss and population decline. So while we enjoy the happiness they bring, we must also remember to protect them and love nature. Only in this way can these cute little ones survive forever, and we can continue to see their wonderful scenes. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next issue. Bye!